Welcome, everybody. We're here today at the historic Lyric Theater in Lexington, Kentucky for Sunday night MTG with the fresh Indianapolis SCG Open champion, Anthony Devarti. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is so much fun. We don't have too many people that are bringing the hardware back home, but when we do interviews. So looking forward to this. So this is an interesting Open to win. This is as they call day one standard with the new rotation coming in. But we're taking an archetype that was already pretty solid, looking at some new cards like the Krasis. And tell us a little bit about how you ended up playing Sultai.
So we started with level 0. We test as a team and build as a team. All deck building credit goes out to Dustin Kelly. He is our mastermind. He's the one that puts these things together for us, and he gave me basically a list of things to choose from. We started all on the Wilderness Reclamation decks and tested them pretty thoroughly, but we found that, or at least I found that time was a serious issue with those decks, and also we just felt like it was very easy for aggressive decks to get in underneath it. So I moved away from that one pretty quickly, and we didn't quite find what was going to break the Nexus of Fate Wilderness Reclamation archetype. We knew someone was, so we wanted to be prepared for it, but I knew I didn't want to be on it. And I kind of gave a cursory attempt at trying to put something Esper together, to play to my normal play style.
Yep.
But we just settled on black-green being the best deck, and then Dustin suggested, let's just jam some Hydroid Krasis in there. You like Sphinx's Revelation.
And so Hydroid Krasis, bringing the jellyfish back to popularity. I don't know if it ever left, but welcome back to the jellyfish land. That card really did push it another level. And one thing I've been wanting to talk to you about, because I've had some success with Hadana's Climb in previous standards, and it seemed like that was one of those deck building choices of either including it or not, or potentially sideboarding it. Where'd y'all land on the Climb?
So we were playing Llanowar Elves, which kind of lent this list to being able to play Hadana's Climb with a little more consistency than the lists without Llanowar Elves. My concern with it was a suggestion that came up. My concern with Hadana's Climb was I did not want to have dive downs or other things to try and protect my creatures. I like that in this deck, basically all the creatures trade profitably with removal spells, and we thought the green-black mirror was going to be pretty common, and I didn't want to have a lot of air to support Hadana's Climb, especially if we were only playing it as a 1 or 2 of.
Yeah, and that's, in some cases, some people could argue that's a win more card. It does work really well in the dream scenario when you have a Wild Growth Walker and you can pump that, automatically have this amazing flyer with the big bud on that side, and that is something to think about. But in the construction of a 75, and especially given the fact that you are playing 15 rounds plus a top 8, every single card choice is really important, and knowing your 75 in and out is really important. So, was there any other choice? I know that there was talk about Incubation Druid and some other choices. What were some of the last ones in?
So, while I am not particularly confident in my own deck building, I think it's really important for you to really, really give a ton of thought to your sideboard and not just what cards are good in which matchups, but what you can do to change your deck to make it better at executing your post-sideboard plan in every matchup. So my sideboard looked a little strange. We had some plans for it. Thankfully, most of them worked out pretty well, but that, I think, is where we spent the most time. We settled on the 60 pretty quickly. Just put my faith in Dustin on that one. And then Dustin, Jim Morrison, and I kind of got together, and Lee Baxter as well, just kind of put our heads together to try and get an idea of what we wanted that sideboard to look like. I knew I wanted 4 duress, 3 counterspells. I was like, all right, we're starting there. No one's touching them. And we went to the 2-1 split on Negate and Disdainful Stroke because Victor Tyler Logan said, hey, you shouldn't be playing 3 Negates.
And D-Stroke gets so many good cards.
Oh, I did not realize how many Hydroid Crisis Mirrors we would be seeing. I thought it would be a lot of green-black. I thought the blue splash was a little bit greedy on my part. But man, did that come in a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple other things, and I do want to talk about the grind, because I think a lot of players out there don't actually know what it's like to not only do well day 1, qualify for day 2, continue to do well day 2, and then not lose in the top 8. So, of course, that is something I haven't done, and I'm always alluding to try to see what can help that. But one new card that was in the sideboard that I wasn't sure where you landed on, it seemed pretty common, was the Cry the Canarium.
Oof, yeah. That was a bit of a misstep for us. So in testing, we felt like that Mardu deck was absurd. We were just like blown away by it. We were like, man, this is the deck. This is the one. This deck is unreal. It's so good. Like the Judith, Hero of Precinct 1, Go Wide deck. We way overvalued that deck. Partially because that was the deck one of our best players, Jim, picked up on very quickly, and that I think skewed our results a little bit.
Yeah.
Just having a really good pilot, really championing that deck in testing. So we went with Cry over Golden Demise because of Judith, the Scourge Diva. Going back, I probably would have gone with Golden Demise had I known how much Mardu was going to underperform. Mardu and the red-black decks in general were going to underperform. But I think that card becomes very, very good as long as Judith is good.
Yeah, and that deck, again, with week 1, day 1 standard, it is kind of hard to know exactly what's going to land and what the other metagame is. So it seemed like it has been Nexus-based decks, of course Sultai with maybe Climb or not, Esper, and then I would group in Mardu, Rakdos, Mono Red as kind of the aggro portion right now. You still have some Mono Blue floating around just because it's still a really efficient deck and a lot of people have it. It's cheap, but it's still...
And it's terrifying.
And it has some god draws that are almost impossible to beat if you get certain things, and then Protect with Dive Down. But let's roll back to, because I think that some of the people out there that are grinders or maybe even just Friday Night Magic, let's walk through what like the mentality of the grind is, the actual whole weekend from, starting round 1 with no buys at a tournament like this and having to naturally go all the way up, and you're actually the number 1 seed going into the top 8.
So I think that something that people don't appreciate with traveling like this is that the actual act of traveling, the booking a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever you have, takes so much mental energy that when people do that at the last minute, they're actually harming their own ability to play Magic meaningfully at a meaningful skill level. I think that booking in advance is nice. Something we've done is basically, I love cooking. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm fasting a ton now, so I don't eat them a lot, but I do love having people eat the food that I make. So, Saturday morning, I get up early and I go and I make a big breakfast for everybody in the Airbnb, everybody in the hotel, whatever. And we all have breakfast together, and then we have our list decided the night before, get there, everyone's good to go, and everybody that you travel with, we're succeeding as a group. Or, if the tournament doesn't go well and we fail, then we fail and go out to dinner or hit up whatever the nightlife in that city is as a group. And that's such an important thing that I think people underestimate, is that, like, my success is everyone else's success. Their success is my success. You can just be every person in your group. You are their biggest cheerleader, And that makes such a difference. It really keeps the, 15 rounds Swiss, it keeps those 15 hours of Magic from turning into an exhausting thing. Because, it's one thing to walk away from a match and be like, all right, I got it. All right, now the next round starts in 20 minutes? Versus you walk away from a match and you got 4 people just there, just hyped for you. It makes a world of difference. I've played in a lot of things by myself over these years, and it's not comparable.
Yeah, and again, we're here in Lexington, Kentucky. So the central Kentucky area, as even people that don't know you are kind of sharing your success right now. I know I'm a longtime grinder. There's so many grinders there that we've been on teams together before. Yep. And, the fact of holding the trophy and googly eyes or not, that's your choice to make. And the fact that we can share that and we can have, I know, shout out to Flickinger and to Tyler, the winner chicken dinner thing. Yep. I immediately posted that on my Facebook because I felt like you winning was me winning too. And now I know I bombarded you with instant messages all right, so let's talk shop because I don't have as much time to test, but I love this deck. I already was comfortable with it. And just the fact that there is this community that's willing to embrace Magic and successive Magic. Eric Flickinger, when he made the Pro Tour not too long ago, losing to Pascal in the top 8 of the GP. And then, of course, Tyler, Lucas, and Eric Shootman's team. So we've had some really good victories come back. I'm the perennial day tour, but not quite the champion. But again, if it wouldn't be for people like you actually winning, you kind of set the tone of saying, you can do this. You get a list that you are behind. Having some testing partners is helpful. But anybody can win a tournament if you put the right preparation to it.
Yeah, I tell all of we are working with some newer, younger groups that have come in and kind of expressed an interest, and I tell them the same thing every time, is that these tournaments come down to your prep work, your deck choice, and then just your luck and when you're actually playing. And the first 2, you can really control those. You can control your deck choice. You can make a good deck choice, or you can defer to somebody who knows what's up and makes the deck choice. I do. I defer a lot to people that are smarter than me, people who are better at this game than me. And then your prep work. If you do the prep work, a lot of the mechanical actions, a lot of the common lines that you do over and over and over again come up to you. You're not going to mis-sequence your land in the Sultai deck and not be able to go Walker into Jade Light Ranger if you've done that 50 times already. Mm-hmm. And then you just put yourself in a position where some good draws, or maybe some less than good draws from your opponents, you put yourself in that position where those things can break your way. So that's what I tell them every time. Those are just the 3 things that we focus on, and the first 2, we have total control over them.
So as we kind of wrap up for today, where do you think that the meta is going to go from week 1 moving forward?
So I think that it's likely that there's going to be that red-white Angels deck, likely splashing black for Seraph of the Scales, is going to be pretty well positioned. I think part of what is going to make that the case is that I think the green-black X decks or the green-black-blue decks are going to get really inbred and try and beat each other. I think you're going to see a lot of hostage takers trying to steal Crasises, and because of that, it's going to really soften up the deck to things like Esper, who wants to just kind of come in and 1-for-1 you, and the red-white splash-black Angels deck.
And where do you feel that some of these aggro decks that didn't quite get up there is there another deck that maybe we haven't seen yet and thought about, or are we really seeing that mid-range is just dominating from the forefront?
I think mid-range is going to dominate. I think that this set was designed by people. This standard set was designed by people who like a nice balanced mid-range E format. I didn't really think that the mono red deck was as strong as it has been in like day one standards of the past. I think that the aggro deck that's going to be the most problematic, especially if green black stays popular, is going to be that mono blue deck. I swear, if I see a Siren Storm Tamer, I probably am just signing the match slip right there. That deck is absolutely terrifying. I think I'm like 0-80 against it in testing.
It's a really good one, and actually we have some content from Nathan Cunningham talking about the deck tech on this, because it's so easy for people to get into it. Of course, the challenge with Hydroid Krasis is that it's like a $35 card right now, and if you didn't have it in time, like me, then I'm looking to you or other people to borrow them.
One. Yeah.
But the mono blue deck, literally $100 or less even. You probably have some of the cards just in your pile of Draft Shaft.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. I think that deck is really good. I'm just not sure how it can deal with turn 4 through 7 if you didn't get, a great big-bodied Dejin out there and didn't protect them well. Once you start getting that Wild Growth Walker going, I mean, that's something too. And also hostage taking the Wild Growth Walker sometimes can just turn it around. But we have a really exciting standard. I'll leave you with this question for the meta. Is Nexus going to get banned, or are we going to see some more life in Nexus?
I mean, my buddy Andy, who traveled with us, came second in that classic. So don't tell him I said this, but I don't think that deck is really good. I don't think it's good at all. I think there are so many Crushing Canopies and Mortifies around that Wilderness Reclamation is real squishy. And Nexus of Fate costs 7 mana. That card costs 7 mana. You need to make 7 mana to cast it, and you can counter it or duress it away or any of those things. So I'm not sold. I'm sure that somebody way smarter than me is going to figure something out and put a really good Nexus deck up there. But as it is right now, I don't see anything ban-worthy about that deck.
All right, the very, very last thing. What is your favorite thing to cook? It's tough. That's the toughest question
that's
of the whole one.
so tough. I make, it's kind of like an Italian version of pecan pie, but it's made with almonds. It's called torta coppiere d'agli spinaci. It is a spinach and almond flour based souffle sweetened with melon liquor.
Ooh. So sign me up for that.
I
definitely need to taste that. Well, thanks again for being on the show today. Hopefully we'll be able to get the champ to do some either deck techs, or we can do a feature one-on-one match. Love to do that. We've had some crazy battles in our careers, both back and forth. I always feel so great to win against somebody like Devarti, but also I hate to lose. But we'll have some fun. It would be great. You've got the shirt on, which is, limited edition right now. And for those listening out, continue just to support your local scene here in Lexington. Sunday night MTG is fantastic. Looking forward to having Devarti to do more content with us, and stay tuned for more great episodes here on Sunday night MTG. Thanks again.
Looking forward to having you reality smashing me directly in the mouth.